Thank you so much, Dr. Ruben Abati, and I'd like to appreciate the management of this day for driving and leading the conversations on national security and state police. Yes, I have spoken loudly about the need to deploy smart technologies to curtail the excesses of insecurity in our country. And that came as a concern whereby some of the terrorists have taken on to engaging the public on their social media handles. Prominent case was one that happened a few weeks back whereby on TikTok, on a span of about 30 minutes, the bandits gave away hundreds of millions to Nigerians that were willing participants in the giveaway. And one would wonder why the police force and other security agencies will neglect such activity as a means of apprehending these actors. But as a parliamentarian and one that has had a number of experiences both at state and national level, permit me, Dr. Ruben Abati, to speak broadly onto that, considering the fact that I also am a member of the Constitution Drafting Committee, and I participated actively in the development of the clauses which will hopefully shape our reforms, and that would lead us into reenacting the Police Act, which will contain broader solutions to the concerns that many Nigerians raise. I personally am in support of decentralizing the police force because, let's be very honest, in most democratic societies, whether it's America or the United Kingdom, they do operate a decentralized system of policing. And in Nigeria today, if we are being honest with ourselves, there's a huge disconnect with whether it's correspondence or interception or apprehension of the insurgencies at state level, because they do happen from communities up down. And most often, what is on ground is really captured at the national police sector. But let me say this. My three major concerns as a parliamentarian and as a politician that has had a first-hand experience with the police at the state level, which is Kogi State, I would say my first concern is the abuse of this state police by both state and national political actors. I'm mentioning this in capital. The abuse, the concern of abuse of the state police by the state and national political actors. In a situation where there is an abuse or there is a total disregard for the act, the Police Act, where do we go to? Where would ordinary Nigerians, who will they complain to? And the second concern is the recruitment, the training, the promotion, the appointment, the retirement, or probably outright suspensions of defaulting police officers at state level. Who do you report to? How do you trust that your petitions will be addressed and that the police commander, as he will be called, we are no more going to have the Commissioner of Police, he's then now going to be called the police commander. If the police commander is in default of compliance, who do ordinary citizens report to? And how do we trust that the National Police Council, which will be headed by the President of Nigeria, and that will have the 36 state governors as members, how do you ensure that it will not be a boys' club of some sort or a political club of some sort that will turn a blind eye to genuine and germane complaints of Nigerians for our political parties, as it may be, when there is absolute failure of compliance? That's the second concern. And the third, of course, is funding. There are certain conversations that we would consider either 2 or 3% of the state-generated revenue to fund the state police. But let's be very honest. We do know that the economic opportunities of states in Nigeria vary. We have some big states like Lagos. You can't compare the revenue generated by Lagos, Delta, Kano, with states like Kogi and Zamfara. So we would expect that at the point where we are reenacting the National Police Act, we're going to have conversations where, of course, the general public will be required to participate and put forth contributions, which we would most likely expect the federal government to intervene. But Dr. Ruben, if I'm not going to take too much of your time, I would like to speak on two experiences which will broadly throw light to my concerns on the abuse of the state police. In the year 2024, I was already a senator. On the third day of November, we commissioned a police station which I facilitated to my community, which hosts about 300,000 indigents. I did notify the then Inspector General of Police, Kayode Agbetekun, on the fact that the police station was already built and ready to be commissioned, ready to be made operational. There was no response. Last year, my office followed another reminder, especially in the wake of insecurity in Kogi State. Here we had a fully built and equipped police station. Again, no answer, no response. I thought probably we should go ahead. So my office also facilitated, in addition to the police station, police quarters that could comfortably accommodate 8 police men, fully equipped accommodation, a police hall to accommodate 500 officers for training or whatnot. We also deployed vehicles, a police van, and an electronic speed bike. I also sent in a third letter to the IG of police then, no response. A senior police officer I would not want to mention drew my attention that there were probably some political roadblocks to that, and that I should try to probably reach Mr. President. Of course, I didn't do that. Not that he would not respond, but I thought something we could handle at the local levels. And thank God, in February of this year, the IG of police was changed. So I paid a courtesy visit to the present Inspector General of Police, Disu. And do you know what? When I tabled the facility before him that right in Ihima, Okehi local government in Kogi State, we have this well-equipped police station. Do you know what? In less than 2 weeks, the police station was made operational. As a matter of fact, it is right now operating as an area command with not less than 10 officers. So I want to really appreciate the Inspector General of Police, Disu, to have done that. And what am I trying to say? The same government, the same office, a different response. So by and large, in as much as I'm speaking for the true independence of the institution, of the police institution, we should also not neglect the human factor to this, because no matter the laws we deploy, no matter how beautiful the literatures are in our constitution, we still are going to rely on human beings to effect this. And that is why we must be very careful at the point of recruiting the police officers, because they must be very patriotic, and they must be people who are competent and, of course, understand the oaths that they take. That's one example. And the second is with regards to my experiences when I was contesting elections in the 2019 election season and, of course, the immediate past 2023, which ushered me as a senator today. My elections were quite broadcasted, the violence I encountered. And a question I've always asked is, what did the police do? And here I am speaking to that, because I am not generalizing the bad of the police, because just like every other sector, whether it's the corporate field or the political space, we do have the good and we have the bad eggs. But the reason, the essence for the reforms, the legal reforms, and these conversations is to highlight problems so that adequate measures can be taken to curb the excesses. So here's my experience. At that time, the Commissioner of Police was one Mr. Busari. And I remember when the attacks on me and my team were constant. Houses were burned, people were killed, there was no time that I would get on the field to campaign that we would not go home with at least 18 to 20 persons shot. And I did pay the Commissioner of Police, Commissioner Busari, a visit. And often, most times he would tell me that his hands were tied. He would tell me to please reach the national police, that is the IG of police at the force headquarters, to instruct him, because at the state level, his hands were tied. And it got to a point when I remember a particular moment, the thugs, the political thugs, were walking openly, equipped with guns, and they were in company of the police. So I drew his attention to that with pictures, and I say, here you have the thugs surrounded by your policemen. Wouldn't you call them to order? Do you know what he told me? He said, Madam, why don't you recruit your own thugs too, to balance power? This was what he told me. So my concern, and leading to that, you all saw, even when in the last election, the roads were cut by the then governor of Kogi State. The equipments used were equipments owned by the CCECC, the Chinese company. I remember placing a call to one of the board of directors that how dare you use or allow your equipments branded CCCC to destroy infrastructure in Nigeria? Is it possible for a Nigerian company to destroy infrastructure in China? And he told me they were working on the orders of the state governor. I placed calls to some, well, I won't mention their names, some really powerful figures from the Air Force to the Navy to the Army, everybody, like an SOS call. And all of them told me that they had no powers to call the state governor to order because he is the chief security officer of the state. So it was more like I had to resolve to self-help, get the people together, and we just had our way through. So now the reason why I'm putting this forward is, it is clear that even though the police force then was centralized, the state government in Kogi had absolute power and control over the police in Kogi State. So now that we are actually going to document the independence or the direction of the police, which of course is to complement the federal police, how then myself and ordinary citizens ensure it's in fairness? But again, as a parliamentarian, these concerns I air because I am duty-bound as a senator representing Kogi State, Kogi Central, a district that suffered tremendous violence, and also one that has witnessed progress. I'm glad, like I mentioned, the support and the proactiveness of the IG of police under, of course, the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I appreciate this progress, and I do hope that the weeks running into months, running into the 2027 election and beyond, this constitutional reform and the Police Act that will be implemented will yield nothing but the best for Nigerians. I do believe, as a progressive, that my office and the entire National Assembly will work in harmony with the state governors, with the police, and of course with well-meaning Nigerians, with civil society organizations, with the human rights departments and all others, to ensure that every Nigerian's life and properties are properly secured, that Nigerians will harmoniously, the traditional institution, the various women groups, the various youth groups, and all that, the very best hands will be employed to serve Nigerians at the state level. And of course, the state police will work harmoniously with the federal to bring safety to Nigerians. So the issue of terrorism will be a thing of the past. Thank you.